Hello BookTube, this is Weekly Reads. I'm going to focus on the five volumes of manga that I pre-ordered in March, that I hauled yesterday. So after I finished filming and uploading that video and spent some time on my computer, I went and read all five volumes that I pre-ordered. Ordinarily, I would have read just three and then saved the other two and something else for today, but I decided I wanted to go ahead and read all five volumes yesterday, and I had quite a lot of fun. These were pretty good volumes. So I'm going to start with going in numerical order from volume. So I will start with Volume 1 and end with Volume 25. So, first up is Dead Rock, Volume 1 by Hiro Mashima, which was the first volume that I read yesterday. Dead Rock is Hiro Mashima's most recent series. It started in 2023 and is quite the departure for Mashima's work. Normally, Hiro Mashima focuses on weekly series. Dead Rock is a monthly series. Usually, Mashima's characters are more heroic, and the focus of the series is often on found families. Fairy Tail is very much a found family, with Makarov being the father-grandfather figure for the guild. And the crew of Eden Zero is very much a found family. Dead Rock, so far, does not have that dynamic, and Yakuto, the main character of Dead Rock, is very different from Mashima's previous protagonists, Hiro, Natsu, and Shiki. So what is Dead Rock about? Dead Rock is a series set at a school for demons called Dead Rock. This world is composed of three realms. The demon realm, which has thousands of layers, although Dead Rock is located on the 666th level of the demon world. There are a number of human realms, and there is also a heaven. All of this is ruled by a being called God, who is also the principal of Dead Rock. Yakuto is one of 1,000 prospective students who are taking a special exam to be enrolled in Dead Rock. And Yakuto is one of 7 who make it. And these 7 are placed in a class together called Class F. And Dead Rock is a very brutal school. The students are encouraged to kill each other and kill their teachers if they can. And the teachers have equal ability to kill their students, and also assuming probably each other as well to advance. The goal of each Dead Rock student is to graduate and be given a human kingdom or a human world in the world of humans to rule as the Demon King. However, Yakuto has a different agenda for his enrollment. So let's look at some images. So I really enjoyed this. I had a blast reading this first volume. The artwork is very in Hiro Mashima's style, and I really liked the departures from Mashima's usual storytelling. It's really neat. And that in this case, he's not afraid to kill a huge amount of characters immediately. So yeah, I am really looking forward to Volume 2, which should be coming out in June or July, I think, if I remember. I have 2 and 3 in my wish list, because what I do is I have them all, like, forthcoming volumes in my Amazon wish list, but I order with Book People. So next up is Volume 5 of The Summer Hikaru Died by Mokumokuren. This is a horror series set in a very small village in rural Japan. It's about 2 young men, Yoshiki and Hikaru. A few months before the series begins, Hikaru went missing in the forests surrounding the village for a week. When he came back, Yoshiki knew immediately that whoever this being was not Hikaru. And in fact, Hikaru died on the mountain. And that an eldritch abomination has taken Hikaru's place. Over the course of the series, Yoshiki and Hikaru try to figure out what their relationship is. What Yoshiki's relationship with the previous Hikaru is, what his budding relationship with the new Hikaru is, and how to deal with the fact that you're a friend of, in love with, a being that is not human. And the series deals with not only horror, but also queer coming of age, because Yoshiki is heavily implied to be gay and to have had a crush on Hikaru, and sort of developing something similar with the new Hikaru. At the same time, things are going strangely in this town. There are various monsters and spirits starting to come out of the woodworks. Many of them attracted to Yoshiki because, given his relationship with Hikaru, he's becoming a magnet for other supernatural beings. And there's all sorts of conspiracies going around about the village, about an ancient cult, about a cult-obsessed company. It's really fascinating. I really enjoyed this volume, and also had my heartstrings pulled towards the end, because there's scenes at the end that are very, very moving. And I love the artwork. The artwork is so wonderful. Yeah. So, The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 5 was the last of the volumes I read. The penultimate one was Demons of the Shadow Realm Volume 7 by Hiromu Arakawa. Demons of the Shadow Realm is about 2 twins, Yuru and Asa, who were born in a village that has been cut off from the rest of Japan. And the village has remained in a sort of time lock to the 17th century, although it does have some contact with the outside world. but many people who leave the village don't come back because they've been contaminated with the outside world. So Hiro and Asa were born at a specific moment, which gives them the ability to develop superpowers. Asa was imprisoned, and Hiro was left free to roam about. However, one day their parents disappear, and a few years later, the village comes under attack from mercenaries led by a young woman who looks like Asa and claims to be the real Asa. Hiro then leaves the mountain with Dara, a man who works as a courier between the village and the outside world, and he takes Hiro in alongside two demons, left and right, who serve as guardians to the village. So Hiro then goes looking for answers. Who is this young woman who looks like my sister? What happened to my parents? What the hell's going on? And he learns quite quickly that nothing is what it appears to be. And he tries to figure out what to do next and to sort of develop this relationship with the sister that he never knew was separated from him for years, and her coming to terms with that trauma as well. And it is just, this series is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. So this volume deals with Hiro being blackmailed by one of the various factions that are involved in this story. Hiro is having no part of it, and so he and Left and Right basically do a counter trap and fight the cover model of this volume, a demon-wielding swordsman named Even. While at the same time, the Kakamori, who have taken in Asa, are basically launching attack on Even's current employer's operations. And Asa is a trip, as well as the Kakamori clan head. When he appears, he is quite delightful. And it's just, this volume was a lot of fun. And I really liked the exploration of the village that Hiro and Asa came from, why it seems to be locked out of the rest of Japan, of why exactly, or who exactly replaced Asa in her cell, and coming to terms with that and forgiving the demon pair that was involved in that, and the kind of further building of relationship between Hiro and Asa. It just was really good. And I'm also curious to see a lot more about who exactly this psychopath is working for. So the young woman in the with the eye patch is the real Asa. Let's go for it was a lot of fun. Go. That's a spoiler. Can't show that. No, but that's just really good. So moving along to the third volume I read, and that was Dark Gathering Volume 12 by Kenichi Kondo. This is a horror manga about a young man named Kaitaro who can sense supernatural and is quite the supernatural magnet. One day he and his friend Aiko were cursed. And this led Kaitaro to not wanting anything to do with the supernatural. However, Aiko and Kaitaro's family got him to come back to the world. And he's reacclimating himself. He's now in college and he's helping tutoring young students. Unfortunately for him, his first student is a very strange little girl named Yayoi, who is Aiko's young cousin, whose family were killed, and Yayoi can see the supernatural. And so, after the death of her parents and the kidnapping of her mother by a monstrous fetal spirit named Kubo, Yayoi has set about to hunt down and capture and forcibly conscript the most dangerous spirits in Japan, so that she can turn these captured spirits into an army, so that she can use them to take down Kubo. And Kaitaro has been dragged along for the ride, although he eventually comes to accept being part of this crazy adventure of Yayoi's. So in volume 12, Yayoi, Kaitaro, and Aiko are in Kyoto, setting up for a showdown with a god who is betrothed to another one of Kaitaro's students, a young girl named Ai. And so in order to kind of fight this god on equal footing, Yayoi is setting up a magical pattern using many of her captured, conscripted spirits as sort of anchors. And so they're also basically in Kyoto to forcibly conscript some of these spirits as well. And it is just really, really fun. So this volume wraps up the storyline that began in volume 11, where the gang are at a park and have to deal with a grandmother who has become a malevolent spirit, and continues with the final sort of haunting that they're picking up, which turns out to be a lot more trouble than they had anticipated. And the volume ends with the group in fairly dire straits. And I'm really interested to see how things develop in volume 13, which is coming out in May. So, So really, really fun. And so finally, volume 25 of Jujutsu Kaisen by Gege Akutami. Jujutsu Kaisen is, finished up its run last year with 28 or 29 volumes. The final volumes are currently being printed in the US. Volume 26 should be coming out in May as well. So Jujutsu Kaisen is about a young man named Yuji Itadori who joined his school's occult club. One day the members find a cursed object, the rotten, desiccated finger of an evil sorcerer named Sukuna. This cursed object attracted a cursed spirit, a malevolent being born out of negative emotions. This cursed spirit attacks the occult club and is engaged by a young Jujutsu sorcerer named Megumi. Megumi has some difficulty with this cursed spirit, and Yuji decides to help out. And he does so by eating Sukuna's finger. This allows Sukuna to temporarily possess Yuji, and the cursed spirit is defeated, and Sukuna, or the Sukuna possessed Yuji, is subdued by Megumi's teacher, Gojo. When Yuji comes to, he is informed by Gojo that his superiors in the Jujutsu Society have decreed that Yuji is to be executed because he has now become a cursed object. And Gojo has successfully argued to delay this execution order since Yuji seems to be capable of consuming and containing Sukuna without much interference from Sukuna himself, from like the possession thread. So the deal is that Yuji's execution will be held off until all the other 19 fingers of Sukuna have been eaten. Sukuna had 19 fingers, or he had 20 fingers. He had 4 arms, so he had 20 fingers. So Yuji is enrolled in Jujutsu High alongside Megumi, and they go on a number of adventures while they learn how to be Jujutsu sorcerers, and things eventually go to hell in a handbasket. In addition to Sukuna, there is also another ancient evil wizard sorcerer. I'm not entirely sure what the hell he is, except for he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles villain called Kenjaku, who is a brain that hijacks corpses. And so Kenjaku wants to engage in a situation where a number of locations in Japan are cut off, and present-day sorcerers and ancient sorcerers who have been incarnated are forced to fight it out in a culling game. And this begins with him manipulating a number of cursed spirits to create a mass casualty event in Shibuya, the Shibuya incident, which also sees Sukuna temporarily emerge from Yuji. And so Yuji and his allies have to fight this culling game, and things get worse when Sukuna makes his play, and in the end, basically there's going to be a rumble between Kenjaku and Sukuna and Yuji and his friends, including a returned Gojo. And so this volume mostly focuses on the fight between, or the first rounds of the fight between Sukuna and Gojo. And it was quite a lot of fun. Oh, yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, so I had quite a lot of fun with these 5 pre-orders. And I'm looking forward to April's pre-orders, although I will not be reading them all together because two of them have already shipped. The ones that came out at the very beginning of April. So I'm not entirely sure how the other 4 volumes are going to ship. I know 2 of them are in the same week, and then 2 others are separate weeks. I'm not entirely sure how book people will do that. I might email them and ask them, because I do need to email them to see if they can bundle Dark Gathering with my other earlier order. But anyway, so what I'm planning on reading today, I'm not entirely sure. I might reread a slim volume of poetry. I might get started on Robinson Jeffers or something else. I also need to get this library cleaned up a little bit because there's an apartment inspection coming next week, and of course over the weekend and for much of next week I will be reading Alice in Borderland by Hiro Aso, and probably after that I might either start on Robinson Jeffers or something else. Anyway, I will report back next week, although next week's weekly reads would probably just be Alice in Borderland. And then I'll do the following reading weekly reads will be the poetry and whatever else I read. Hoping that makes sense. But anyway, BookTube, until I see you next time, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.